Jason Tracy. We've met a number of times. We were together this morning at a speakers panel for American Cancer Society. Thank you so much for that invitation. I really enjoyed it. And I know Jason did as well. Jason has a unique ability to deliver a message about self-improvement or business success in an authentic but kind manner. He's got an authoritative approach that helps underscore his seriousness, but he's also a real human being who connects with a disarming humility. He comes from a background of sales and corporate leadership, and that's where he made a reputation for resurrecting failing businesses. He was able to implement transformational changes from the inside out, leading his teams to the top of their industries. In his leadership role, that's where Jason discovered his passion, which is empowering people to discover their true potential. He founded Roar Consulting in 2018, and Jason, I remember very early along when you came to PTN and you shared what you had just done and how monumental it seemed at the time. And it really left an impression on me because I felt standing up there that you were the guy that was going to be able to live into that dream. It was an amazing experience. And even though we only met in person a few times, I've never forgotten that first introduction. At Roar, he helps bring about real positive change for people and organizations through coaching, consulting, and speaking. We're exceptionally lucky to have him here with us today. Let's give Jason a welcome fit for a king or for a lion.
I don't know if I need to stand up here and talk after that introduction. That's a mic drop moment. We just all walk out and leave, right? So I love the mic, I love the irony. If you would have told if any of my teachers back in high school that constantly encouraged me to talk in my 2-foot voice because this thing is too loud, if you'd have told them somebody was handing me a mic as a profession, they'd be like, who's insane, right? So thank you again, Tress. That was an amazing speech, so give it up there for Tress. I'm sitting there this whole time thinking, like, I'm a part of greatness. I get to see this, like, from the ground level, and one day I'm going to call her up when she's on Oprah, or she was like, hey, can you get me in? Remember me? I did that first event with you back in the day.
I got you too.
All right. So, it was a Saturday morning when I got a call from my top sales guy. And I was used to getting calls from him on Saturdays, but it was usually more of a bravado, braggadocious, I've got a killer day lined up, you're not going to believe it, I'm going to carry the company in my back type of call. And so when I answered the phone, I wasn't prepared for the message I was about to receive. He said, Jay? Yeah? He was like, I know you know that I bought my first house yesterday at 23 years old. Yeah, congratulations, man, it's amazing. He was like, I'm sitting here today, and I was thinking about, how did I get here? How am I here at 23 years old and I've been able to buy a house for my family? And I had to call you, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be living this dream right now. See, crazy, 3 years earlier, Josh was a 20-year-old young man that didn't have a college degree, didn't have any relative skills, he was working at a kiosk in the mall, and he just found out he was having a baby that was not getting off getting a girlfriend. And so Josh was scared because he had no idea how he was going to provide for his family. He had no idea how he was going to gather up at 20 years old and become the breadwinner and make sure he could provide a life that he didn't have as a child. And so I became very drawn to Josh from the very beginning. First off, he put up with my shit. So what I mean by that is he allowed me to have a abrasive conversation with him out of the gate. Sometimes when you're coaching somebody, it takes a long time to build a burden of trust in a relationship before you can give them the real deal slap across the face, right? Josh allowed me to do that. Now, he knew what he needed. He knew he needed money. He knew he needed a career. He was very open and honest and coachable. And so here's the nugget number one for yourself. Who's here because you want to make a transformational change? Say me. Say it out loud. All right. Who knows that you're capable of doing more? Me. So here's the nugget. Be coachable. Because how many times you walk around in life and you know you need to go to another level, you know you don't know what you don't know, but then when someone tells you, hey, try it this way, you say, no, I like doing it the way I eat. So Josh would come to me and he'd say, you know what, I'm not getting this whole sales thing, I'm not doing good, I'm last in the company. I can't figure it out. And so we started working out on his communication process because nobody taught him as a young 20-year-old salesman how to communicate with people. He was working at a kiosk, and if you've ever been to a kiosk, every uniform comes with these guys because they shoot the pistols and give the deals only for you. And that was him. He came into my company and he was shooting pistols and he was asking rhetorical questions that had the answer opposite of what he wanted. And I'll give you an example of this. We sold Verizon, and the iPhone was out. In the industry, anybody working in the cell phone industry, we hate Apple. So we always try to talk our customers out of Apple. So a teenage daughter and a mom come into the store, and I'm listening to Josh's interaction, and Josh is trying to convince this young 13-year-old young lady that she does not want an iPhone. And the iPhones are all the rage, everyone wants an iPhone, well, especially 13-year-old young ladies, right? And so he asked her, hey, he's like, why do you want the iPhone? She's like, because all my friends have it. He's like, well, let me ask you a question. If your friends went out and bought a cute pair of shoes, would you want to go get those shoes too? I put my head on the desk. Are you kidding me? You just asked a 13-year-old girl to go out and buy the same pair of shoes that her friends are buying. The answer was, of course, yeah, absolutely. He was done. He didn't have any more questions. They walked out and said, we'll let you know if we need anything. And I walked over to him and I'm like, what was that? Never ask a question that you have about a 90% chance that they're going to answer the opposite of what you intend. So we started asking questions, and I was teaching him how to discover it. We're asking questions because communication is all about learning other people's perspective. And so he was drilling it down, and there's a few months later down the road, I was listening to his sale, and he was talking to a prospective client, and he was asking some amazing questions, and he particularly asked this one question that got the prospective client to start really talking about her life. And I'm like, wow, I'm writing down everything she's saying. Like, she's telling him everything that he needs to, position and help solve her problems, and this is incredible. But the problem was that Josh was thinking about what next question he was going to ask. He wasn't thinking about and listening to what she was saying. So the worst thing that can happen when that happens, when you're thinking about that question, is that they already said what your next question is. So he asked the very next question, and me and the lady both turned over and looked at him like, are you for real? He should have said exactly what you asked. And so we had more conversation. And so the communication continued to get better. He continued to get better, and one day he told me, I have a talent to be the best salesperson in the company. And I'm like, I have no doubt you do, but you gotta continue to work. It's really funny because even though he had some of that belief that he could be, you ever tell yourself something, like you say it out loud because you want to pop out your chest and say I can be the best, but then when you go home at night you don't really believe it. So I can tell you, 100% of people that I've worked with in corporate world or in coaching, 100%, no matter if you're male or female, no matter if you're black or white or whatever race you are, no matter what your thought process, no matter how old you are, you cannot out-earn your belief level. If you don't believe that you can make money or that you can do anything, you're right. Whatever you believe, you are right. And so Josh did not believe that he could make money in the industry that we were in. And he'd always come to me, and he'd always be open and honest, and he'd sit me down, and he'd be like, Jay, I'm going back to school. And I'd encourage him, be like, man, do it. What are you going to do? And he's like, I don't know. I need to find something I can make money. Maybe I'm going to become a cop. I'm like, okay, do it, man. I don't know. Like, go out and do it. And then he'd come to me, he's like, you know what, my brother joined the Navy. I'm going to join the Navy. And I'm like, that's great, Josh. Like, what are you going to get out of it? And he told me this whole elaborate plan. And then one day he came to me, he's like, Jay, he's like, you know where the real money is at in sales? Like, where? He's like, cars. I'm going to go and I'm going to sell some cars. Josh, you can't sell phones. Like, cars, man. Like, okay, let's calm it down. Okay, Josh, all right. Awesome. So, one day, he comes up to me, and so let's back up. it got to a point in our company, and I love Josh, and we have this great relationship, and I'm serving him a cold glass of Kool-Aid and hard truth, and we sit and have our conversations, but it wasn't really going anywhere, and he was constantly at the bottom of our company, and even though he knew he needed to do something, he knew what he needed to do, because we talked about it over and over again, he still had a discipline problem because he's a 20-year-old young man, right? And so he'd come to work and he'd talk about fantasy football and you'd do all these different things that were not disciplined. And so one day, after a company meeting, he comes up to me and he's so pumped up. He just had a baby. He's not having any success at all. In fact, I had just interviewed 2 potential leaders at the location where he worked, and in their game plan they presented me, the number 1 objective they had was fire Josh. Fire Josh.
Wow.
He's a waste of space, he's distracting everybody, he won't stop talking about fantasy football, he's doing these things. So Josh comes to me after a company meeting, and he's so pumped up. He's so excited. He's got this new tattoo on his arm, right? Guess what the tattoo says? The tattoo says, it's a message to his son, and it says, don't tell your kids how to live a life of greatness, but instead, take action and lead the way. Show them the path to greatness. And he's so excited. I'm like, oh man. It's like the guy that got to go with girth on his neck, right? So I looked at him and I said, Josh, it's incredible. Like, I thought you were extremely proud of that. He was like, you know it. And I'm like, and I watched him all day and I said, so what'd you do today? He's like, what do you mean? Like, when you go home and you look at your son in the eyes tonight, what are you going to tell him that you did to make his life different than what your life was growing up? What are you going to do tomorrow to show your son that you're living a life of greatness? What are you going to do to show him the way? This big burly guy, covered in tattoos, big beard, looked at me and started crying. Because he knew it was a cold, hard truth. That no matter how great he felt about that tattoo, he wasn't backing it up. And so he was just talking talk. Talk is cheap, right? And so I'm like, you've got the everyday reminder now. Because you know what? Making sales calls is not fun and easy. It's not. But you know what? When you don't want to do it, now you've got to look at your tattoo and be like, hold yourself accountable. What am I going to do today when I get home and I tell Grayson I didn't do anything again? I didn't do anything again to make your life different. I didn't do anything to take my life to another level. How does that feel? And again, we had a moment. We started crying. After that moment, it shifted his mindset, and he started committing to a process. See, we had a process to become the difference. What I mean by that is that sales, you're solving problems, you're building relationships, and every single person that followed my process in the company was making really good money. So it was proven that anybody that did it was making money. But he was not, he didn't have a belief system. He didn't believe in his mind that if I do this, that that's actually going to pay off. In fact, we had a #1 guy in the company, his name was Matt Bergen, and he used to say, I'll never make Bergen money. In fact, he got a job bouncing at a restaurant or at a bar downtown, and he told me, if I make Bergen money, even if I make Bergen money, I will not quit bouncing because it's how I'm going to work out. No, Josh, you mean to tell me that if you're making $100,000 a year, you're going to continue bouncing and you're going to spend 16 hours away from your family every single day because you want to work out? Get a gym membership, bro. Like, I can introduce you to a life coach and we can work out. I don't know. But it's funny how quickly things change when you start making $100,000. That job was quit pretty quickly. He didn't bounce anymore. It was pretty awesome. But that was his belief level. He said to me one time, we used to do these competitions, and Bergen would always be on these teams, and he'd say, I gotta get on Bergen's team. I'm like, bro, your goal needs to be that in the company, people are gonna say, I need to be on Josh's team. And so we had a process, and I told him, give me 3 months. Follow the process, be committed, have a consistency to this, do it for 3 months. And if it doesn't work, you can quit. You can go sell cars. You can join the Navy. You can be a cop. You can be a stripper. I don't care. If it doesn't work, you can stay here and do what you want. I'll do whatever you want. But just commit to the process and give me 3 months. I was never going to let him. But the cool thing is, he started working the process, and he started making more and more and more and more money. So we fast forward 3 years later, and he's calling me because he bought his first house for his family. Now he's making 6 figures every single year selling cell phones. So he's leading in his own right. He's got 2 locations that he's leading in his own right. So now he's mentoring and teaching other people within the company. So it's incredible. But I got on the phone after we talked. I sat on the couch. I sat down and cried for 15 minutes. Because, wow, something I did changed someone's life. That's incredible. And so I sat and I started dissecting where I'm at in my life, and I found my purpose that day. My purpose is to coach, develop, and push people to their greatest level, to empower people to thrive no matter what their circumstances are. That's my purpose. My purpose is to take guys like Josh that have no idea what they're going to do to be successful and show them, push them, let them discover themselves the tools it takes to be successful. I did a lot of personal development when I was young. I read a lot of books, did a lot of books on tenacity. Who here in the room agrees that we live in a time where we have an infinite amount of resources to become successful? And it's free, right? We can download, we can get on YouTube and we can find any motivational speaker, any business coach in the whole entire world. Now, last year, I needed to fix my brakes on my car, and I'm not a mechanic by any means, but I looked it up on YouTube and I was able to walk myself through it and fix my car. You have an infinite amount of resources at your fingertips. There is no excuse right now in the world to not be successful because the blueprint is out there. So why don't you do it? I did a lot of personal development. I listened to a lot of books, or I read a lot of books. I listened to a lot of tapes. I had a rolling university. I had a DVD or a CD, or back in the day, a cassette tape. Got my cassette tape in, and wherever I drove, I listened to this personal development. And so I knew a lot of things. I could tell you a lot of things. I have a lot of clients I meet with that know all the answers. They've read all the books. They can tell me all the things. I had this guy that I coached, and this guy, he was the most negative guy in the world. He would say, I'm gonna get sick, my dog's gonna die, I'm gonna get in a car crash. I have these chronic headaches, and everything that he said came true. I'm gonna be broke next week, I'm gonna spend all my money, this is gonna happen. And so I felt so bad for him. I pulled him in one day and I had the DVD, The Secret, and so I brought him into my office, and I'm like, Shane, sit down, and he saw the DVD on the table, and he's like, The Secret, that's my favorite movie. Shane, if you know, why aren't you doing it? Why are you doing the opposite? I don't get it. Why are you doing that? You know, so the fact of the matter is we have all the resources. But that doesn't change what action we're taking, right? So I fully believe who changed my life, the resources that changed my life were people. People pushed me to a different thought process. People told me I wasn't right when I thought I was, right? So people pushed my thought process and they changed me. It takes people as our greatest resource to change who we are. And so tonight you have in this room 3 completely different type of coaches. And I'm gonna tell you what, I love Tress. I'm so excited to get on board with this, right? She posted something and I'm like, I only met her a couple times. I'm like, she's got this enthusiastic energy, I want to be a part of whatever she's doing. But then she's like an intro to life coaching. I hate that word. Oh, I hate life coaching. I had coached a guy last year and he called me a life coach in his Facebook post, and I'm like, I don't even know if I want to coach this guy anymore. You know, and this is the reason why. Every time I think of a life coach, I think of Matt Foley, who's got a van down by the river, and he's going to tell you all the things not to do because he's living in a van down by the river, right? That's what I think of when I think of life coaching, only probably because of that Saturday Night Live skit. But I had a hard time with life coaching because there's so many life coaches out there, and it's hard to understand and get a feeling for what is the right fit for me. See, if you're not looking to change to grow in leadership or sales or develop your mindset and grow your career, then I'm probably not the coach for you. If you're looking to build and get better at relationships or identifying who yourself is, that's probably Maria. If you have a monumental change in your life or decision you need to make, that's Tress. You know, so we all have, the problem with some life coaches is they think that they can solve everything. So they put that square peg into the round hole, and they want to try to solve your problem even because they think it's related. But we all have specialties and things that we specialize in. And for me, if I meet somebody that I can see is not a good fit for me, then I'm going to tell them that I know somebody that is a good fit for them. And so what this night is all about is understanding what coaching is about. For me in my business, I focus on three things. The three things we talk about with Josh. We focus on mindset, because if your belief level isn't there, nothing will change. We do as our beliefs lead us to. We focus on communication. If we can't communicate with people, we can't listen to people, we're never going to, we can't listen to communicate with ourselves, you know, that internal voice in your head right now. If we can't do that properly, we're not going to be successful. And if we don't put a process and a system in place to make sure that we have consistent, sustained success, we'll look like this. We'll go up and we'll go down. So like Maria said, we'll go down and like there's a constant ride. You've got to put a system in place to hold that down and build consistency. So you have three amazing, you know, I will pride myself with that. You have two amazing ladies. Now okay.
Yes.
But so you have three different people, you know, as you're out, talk to us, we're all open to having conversation. We, you know, if something one of us said strikes you and that's something that you're looking to do, have a, you know, let's talk, have a conversation, that's great. And maybe none of us are your flavor, and that's okay too, because maybe we know somebody that is. But the whole point is taking your life to that next level, and it takes finding that coach, mentor, a person to lead you to that next level.